So welcome to live service game design. I've been talking about development and design of SimCity BuildIt a lot, and this is the first time that I'm talking about live service and game design. And actually, it was just a couple of months ago that I started to think that what's the difference of role of game design and game designers in development and then compared to live service. So that's the topic of the day. Also, we are of course a little bit making some notes that what is live service, what does live service mean for us. So let's go. I will very briefly introduce myself, the studio Tracktwenty, the game, and then let's talk about live service. So I've been working in the games industry 15 years, started at Sumea, created lots of those Java mobile games, then shifted to PC downloadable games and Facebook gaming, and then 2012 I joined EA and we set up a studio here in Helsinki, and since that I've been doing game design there. And okay, this is kind of nice history to look at. How did those mobile games look like 10 plus years ago, if you remember those? Did you play those ones? Did you create those? Fun times, right? Totally different beast, you know. So EA Tracktwenty established 2012. We are fully focused on mobile, 50 people, growing, 16 nationalities, very diverse, quite experienced team. We have a really nice studio base here in Helsinki. SimCity BuildIt, our first game. We used 18 months to develop this game. The development phase was really difficult. We did lots of design pivots, redesigned, re-implemented multiple times. Fortunately, we did a lot of user testing, and that saved the project. We soft launched this about 4 years ago, October 14, and then we went global December 14, and it's been a huge success. And since that, we have been running this live service. And also the team is working on something new, but I can't unfortunately tell about that yet, at least. So let's think about live service. What is that? So it's so funny that you are very exhausted. You have been working hard, months and months. And then you launch the game, and actually it's so funny that at that point you don't understand your players, and also the fact is that the game is at its worst. Now as a developer or game designer, perhaps you could think that, hey, game is ready. I don't have to do anything else, or that as a designer, I have to move on something else, and there are product managers, they can handle the game, and the rest of the team, and me, genius designer, I can move on and do something new, great stuff. Or our PMs can say that designers go away, we handle this game. And I'd say that all this is so wrong. It's not so. Game design is needed. It doesn't have to be called a game designer or game designers who are working on that, but we will need game design. So that is something that I already discussed during the panel. So if we think live service, it's about that. Is it live and running? We have to kind of monitor it all the time. If it's not running, perhaps there is a problem, or we are getting from customer service some things. It might need some changes in, for example, in the game's rules, and it's about game design. Or we are running live campaigns, designing those, what are the campaigns, what are the values. Again, it's about game design. And of course, naturally, We start to learn our players. We have to serve those. We are designing new features, implementing new features, and again, it's about game design. So what are typical problems? I would say that after a long development phase, it takes time for a team to learn live service. For us, if I think our first year of live service, for sure, we started to feel that, oh, this is hard work. We have to think our roles. We have to think our processes. And also we figured out that, heck, why didn't we implement this and that tool? So at the same time, during the first year, we were creating more content, more features, but also improving and creating more live tools. And now if you are wise, you invest in those already during the development. Because it's so kind of sad if your game is a huge success, then you are live and you realize that, oh, I didn't think about at all that how to run live events or how to do A/B tests or something like that. Also, it's very important to kind of remember always that, hey, we are doing all this, why we do this is for players. And the truth is that we start to learn about our players when the game is live. We start to get data, we start to get customer support tickets, and of course we are also starting to get information from the community. So then when you start to get that kind of information, you start learning about your audience. And then you start to understand that actually this product is not actually even serving all those aspects that those players are looking for. And it's very kind of valuable information for the team. So some good practices that I've learned that, for example, at the moment we are trying this kind of division that we have 3 little teams, React, which is kind of monitoring the game all the time, working if there is any problems, if there are, we can override things very quickly or fix things. Then there are live ops, learning, kind of planning and designing week by week how we enable more content, how we enable campaigns, how we A/B test stuff, and there is a lot of activity all the time there. And of course then development, big backlog, making kind of decisions that, okay, next big release is about this and that, and we have a very long roadmap. We know about a year ahead all the time that what we are going to develop. And still we are investing in live tools. And with all those, I think that this prioritization is always so important. So you have to do those calls day after day. One kind of the last thing there, this is very important for us, putting players first. And it has saved us many times that when you are arguing as a team that are we doing this or this? Should we perhaps try this? And if you have a kind of very big problems, we can call, hey, let's stop this. Let's ask simply that what's the best for players and let's pick that. And simple as that, and it has helped us a lot. So if I then think kind of that what's the role of game design in all this? I'm thinking that now game design, it's about, what is game design? Game design is setting the rules of the game. So let's say that game design means in broadly players' user experience. Game design defines that this is the experience that I'm getting as a player in this game. And now all our kind of those 3 teams, React, live operations or campaigns, and the dev team working on new releases, they all are shaping games design. So you need the team working as game designers, or you can call them whatever you like, but you are actually working on game design. And then data, customer support, community, you get information, you get feedback from players. And based on that information, those three teams, they are defining players, user experience, which equals to game design. So that's my theory now. So then in practice, it doesn't mean that there is one genius game designer who is saying that, okay, these are the values and this is the content we need to provide to players, and then the other team is there that, yes, sir, we'll deliver that. No, I don't believe that model at all. So how do we work is that more or less the whole team acts as game designers. So based now on that information that we are getting from players, all members of the team together, based on that information, are working on games design. Simple as that. And yes, you can have a studio and say that we don't need game designers. That's totally fine. You can call them any kind of anything, but in practice, someone or the team is doing anyhow the game design. So I think let's wrap up this. Live service, for sure, it's a beast to be tamed. It needs roles and processes. I believe that there is no one good process or one way to set roles. Every team, every product deserves own processes and roles, what will kind of serve your team and especially your players the best. Be ready to change those. We are, in practice, we are changing about every 6 months our development process. We are constantly discussing about it, and then after 6 months we have one day that we focus on our roles, processes, and we are always eager to change those so that it serves us and helps us to kind of create better user experiences. Team culture is something that you will have tough times. You have tough times developing games. You will have always tough times running live services. And then it's about team culture. If you have a great culture, you know how to communicate together, you trust each other, you have very kind of clear structure, everybody is feeling safe, most probably that will save your studio or company when you have very rough and tough times. And I believe that what I've seen that if you want to improve your KPIs, the bottom is that it starts from the game design. If you have a great design which will serve better the players, then you can implement it, execute, and you have a chance to improve your business. And it's so funny that it's not funny. It's very serious that all this is about serving players, and I love that. So thank you very much for listening. Oh, we have still! I thought that I don't have any more slides, but now I have this, it's a plus bonus slide. So actually, it's a silver bullet. Have you ever seen that? So actually 2 ones. So I think, okay, yes, game design. Great game design will kind of enable great business. And also, if you have the culture and team working together, you have a chance to make that happen. So I believe now I try again reaching my end slide. Let's see, there might be another bonus. Oh, now let's shoot some questions. Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the talk. You mentioned the 3 initiative teams you have. What type of problems does the React team solve? And what type of employees does it consist of, or like the skill set?
React team is the kind of the we have multiple persons who are kind of working in all of those. Like a game designer is very typical that is needed and it can be the same game designer working on all of those. But React team is run by a producer. There is one kind of live producer focusing on that. Then we have there very closely customer support and then NetOps. So those are kind of the key components of that. And then whenever they need more help, kind of anyone from the team join. Is it game designer or client programmer or server programmer or so? But that's the kind of the essence of that team.
Great talk, thank you. Where are your players socializing with each other? Like, are they inside the game or on Facebook or Reddit? Or
I think all of those. We have added during the live service lots of social features. So we have mayors clubs. They can chat inside the game. So they can form mayors clubs, chat there, trade there. Then for sure there are Reddit groups, there are Facebook groups and so on, so multiple channels. And we have to follow all of them.
Yeah, thanks for the talk. Can you give us a good example of how you've used the data that you've gathered from the players into making some kind of a significant design change to the game? Like some examples?
That's, I can give a little bit different. We did a big survey and study on our players, and we found out that, because we thought when we launched the game that it's about kind of those kind of classical SimCity players who want to create, it's more like a single player, I want to create the most beautiful, efficient city which looks like me or something like that. But then we found out with those surveys that, heck, there are a lot of players who actually like to compete. And that was then it took some time and we introduced competition of mayors, where you are playing the base game, but at the same time you are competing that how efficient mayor you are. And it has been a very successful feature. And then when we checked the data, we saw that, oh, now there are big KPI changes. And it was a kind of a typical thing to kind of, oh, underserved segment of players, and let's now remember that we have those players too.
Thank you very much, Petri.
Thank you, Oliver. Thank you, audience.